Happy New Year. I wanted to check in today and just talk a little bit about the role of grief and appreciation. Okay, that may seem a very heavy subject for the new year, but I can see that there are some things coming down the road for me this year that are going to be pretty tough. And so I've been reflecting on how I can move through those things, give voice, and also feel joy, even in the midst of those challenging times. Now, I also see that there are going to be some lovely things, lovely new connections, work, and continuing to help people transform their experience of voice in the world, which is one of the things that gives me the greatest pleasure. Okay, so what do I mean by feeling joy in the midst of suffering? What I really suggest is a process in which you initially give full voice to what's going on. So this is something I would tell myself. One of the things that I've seen, and this is partly being from an English background and also a Catholic background, it's very different in different cultures, so I acknowledge that. But one of the things I've seen is a tendency to talk about what one is feeling and then cut yourself off at the knees very quickly by saying, oh, well, so-and-so is much worse off than me, I shouldn't complain. Now, that's not the same thing as feeling a deep appreciation for what one has. That's a negative comparison. It's guilt-provoking and even shame-provoking, and is telling you shouldn't complain. And because the voice never gets fully released, what can happen when people habitually do that is they do keep returning to the suffering because they haven't yet given full voice. So they will complain and then say, oh, well, I shouldn't say that. And the feeling never really gets transformed or brought forth. So if you're a person who is able to talk about what you're feeling and fully do that, are you also a person who can appreciate after you've done that, who can look around and take inventory of what you do have in your life? And for some people, that can sometimes be something really small if things are really tough. It may be hard to find that special spark. But when you start the practice of real appreciation, you can really come to a place of greater happiness and move through those suffering times. Even though joy and suffering are part of life, they're always going to come back to us. And we just have to remember that both of those things come back to us. So how do we deal with it? Can we truly acknowledge what we're authentically feeling without feeling guilty or comparing ourselves to others? And then can we truly acknowledge what we appreciate or are grateful for in our lives? So that's my message to you this new year. I'll really be thinking about that as I go through the year. And I'll also be doing a little New Year voiceover, shall we call it, from a book called Anam Cara, a book of Celtic wisdom. And I'll be releasing that this week. It'll be different than what I normally do. I've received some requests for voiceover and people saying, I'd love to just hear more of your voice reading. So I'm going to be doing that. It'll be a very heartful and nourishing message from this book. Look out for that. And here's to unlocking your performance power in 2022.